It's the 68th Tour de Romandie, the World Tour stop in Switzerland that marks the end of the classics and the beginning of the serious part of the stage race season. The last three winners from this race have gone on to wear the Tour de France yellow jersey at the end of July in the very same year. Cadel Evans, Brad Wiggins and current title holder Chris Froome. From the shores of Lake Maggiore, passing back across the Alps to Sion, Montreux, Aigle, Fribourg and Neuchâtel, the 2014 Tour de Romandie is 747 kilometres long and includes a bumper 10,382 metres of climbing in 6 days of competition. Well, good afternoon, wherever you're watching, and a very warm welcome to Switzerland. We're in Ticino, the Italian-speaking canton, before we head back over to the French-speaking area of the country tomorrow. Beautiful village of Ascona, right on the shores of Lake Maggiore. It's a short prologue, this year back to a traditional sense of a prologue, rather than last year's mountain time trial effort that separated the race very early on indeed. A first ever start from Ascona, even though through the years and throughout the history of this race, there have been stages in the border areas. So we begin from Via Buonamano. Couple of twisty turns. It's fairly flat, this prologue, no climbing whatsoever around the port and back into Piazza Giuseppe Motta for the finish. 5.57 kilometres, Tour de Romandie 2014 underway in Ascona. So this is the view at the minute. It's quite cloudy here. It's been a beautiful sunny morning, around 18 degrees Celsius at times. But the clouds are coming in, the wind's getting up, there's talk of a bit of a headwind on the finishing straight now, and that temperature already on the way down. 17 degrees there, but I can tell you it feels a little colder than that on the streets at the minute. Well, Brett Lancaster set the early time. That's before the Polish star of the season, Michał Kwiatkowski, came in, busted that time, 6 minutes and 22 seconds from the pole, and he is the current leader on the road in this prologue. Already a winner in the Algarve this year, a winner in Strade Bianche, riding fantastically in the Basque Country. Kwiatkowski, the leader here. Kwiatkowski ahead of Giacomo Nizzolo, who's just come in for Italy, and of course Track Factory Racing. He's in second place. Brett Lancaster in third. Brenle for the I Am Cycling team of Switzerland in fourth. Live onto the course, Reto Hollenstein, Swiss rider riding for I Am Cycling. And we're going to get a first real good look at this course. One man who's ridden the course and sitting alongside me in the commentary box is Magnus Backstedt. Good afternoon, Maggie. Welcome to the Tour de Romandie. First impressions for you of this prologue course?
Well, it's quite a fast prologue course. I mean, I'm thinking we're going to get some average speeds of well over 50 kilometers an hour today, and so a couple of little technical corners as such, certainly very early on here on in the course, but most of it, if you get it right and if you know the course by heart, you've been around there a couple of times this morning, then it shouldn't be any problems as such. There's also the latter part of the course itself is on a bike path when we go past the golf course of Ascona. It's a little bit technical, but it's also, again, it's all about knowing the road and knowing where you can cut corners and ultimately make up some time. So I think it's a nice prologue for a start of such a good race.
Roland Guillemois out onto the course. Europcar, one of the 18 World Tour teams here, and we're with the only pro-continental team on the show. It's a smallish race, this, 19 teams. I Am Cycling, the only team invited to the race. Of course, this, a World Tour race, usually tells us something about who is going to go on and win the Tour de France. Cadel Evans 3 years ago, we had Brad Wiggins, we had Chris Froome. Team Sky are the team holders of the team classification and of course the all-important yellow jersey. Chris Froome's here, it's only his third stage race of the year. He won in Oman, he was down in the Volta Catalunya. He's had injury problems, he's had back problems at times, more recently a little bout of a chest infection. He's here and looking ahead, what are his chances? He's certainly come with a very, very strong team to this race.
Yeah, I think that they've lined up with pretty much the Tour team. You know, it's certainly I think a test for Chris Froome, and something he needs to start showing a little bit of form and you know, get out there and actually start pushing a little bit. Not so, maybe not for all of us, but certainly for himself to understand where he's at. And you know, she's come down from from Tenerife. They've been there on training. Looks in superb shape, but like I said, he's picked up a little bit of a bronchitis, hence why he didn't start in Liège-Bastogne-Liège. And he's just, we're going to have to wait and see what his physical condition is like.
Well, Richie Porte is here alongside Chris Froome. Talking of Teide and Tenerife, they've all been up there. It's like a little Tour de France club at the moment on Tenerife. It is, of course, the mountain à la mode, the place where everybody's going to train at the moment. We talked about Sky and Froome. Ivan Basso's just come down from Mount Teide as well. He rode the weekend. He's riding for Cannondale, and he's the leader here. Off to the Giro d'Italia this year. Vincenzo Nibali not going to the Giro, the man who won the Giro last year. Of course, the Giro d'Italia that is now, say, around 10 days away in Belfast. Grand Tour fever already building up. But he's been on Teide as well as Vincenzo Nibali before he took on the Ardennes Classics. So they've all seen each other on the road at some point. They've all had a coffee together. They've all seen how each other's going. And this has become a different race in the last few years, Magnus, in the fact that, as we see one of those tighter turns nicely padded off, it's become a different race, the Tour de Romandie. It used to be a late build-up and late bit of training test, let's say, for the Giro d'Italia that started straight after. But as modern training methods have changed, sports science come into cycling and general sport a lot more, this has now become a pre-Tour de France race.
Well, it's certainly, well, it is a pre-Tour de France race, but I'm thinking more in a question of understanding where you're at with your training, and then go back again and do some more training and see what you need to sort of work on. It's not really going to give us a massive indication as to who's going to be on super form in July, but it's certainly more a test for each individual rider to see where they are and like I said, where they got to get to.
Now, Rigoberto Urán, former Sky rider, former rider for Kestepan as well. He's put in a good time here, the Colombian, out on the bars, bouncing up on the pedals, 13th at the minute. He's lost 13 seconds. Now, you and I, Magnus, have been watching this Prologue for the best part of a couple of hours now, seeing some of the times come in. Urán's only lost 13 seconds there, but bear in mind this is less than 6 kilometers long, this Prologue, and you seem to be amazed at the fact that some of the bigger names, Thibaut Pinot, one of them losing 18 seconds, already losing so much over such a short distance, and the fact that it is a flat course as well.
Yeah, it is such a difficult discipline to do prologues. You know, 5K efforts. It's all about your VO2 efforts, how deep you can go and how you push yourself. And a lot of the time, certainly for me when I rode these kind of prologues, was how you started, how you got into the ride, and that kind of, if you ended up starting on too big a gear, then you never really got into the sort of rhythm of racing a prologue. And it is just a very, very violent effort. So, but again, you know, these guys, they need to be up there, they need to be close to each other. Giving away 18 seconds when effectively you're looking at competing for the overall, it's a little bit too much, really. But you know, we've seen bigger gaps than that in the past, really.
Time trialing, such an important discipline if you want to win Grand Tours nowadays. Such an important discipline in this race too. We must say that this race is a 6-day race. It's bookended by time trials, and although the first time trial is somewhat easier than the mountain TT, almost much more than the Prologue last year, it was really, really hard. Chris Froome won it and then went on to hold the yellow jersey for the entire race. This year it's much more of a traditional Prologue, nice and flat as we get that final look at the final 300 meters. This is where the headwind hits. But the final time trial, Maggie, uphill with some climbing, it's difficult, and if you want to win this race, you don't only need to be a good climber and able to ride in the bunch on the road stages, but you certainly need to be a good time trialist.
Yeah, you definitely have to be, as Hollenstein is coming over the line here, and that's not a bad time for him, I've got to say. It's a pretty decent ride, but like you said, it's time trialing is such an important discipline, but unfortunately a discipline that not many riders actually work an awful lot on. You know, you need to, if you're going to ride well on a time trial bike, you need to spend at least, you know, 3-4 hours a week on it, training at some sort of reasonably high intensity as well too. Otherwise it becomes an alien kind of position to sit in when you get to the races, and ultimately you don't get the power out on the road, as we got Tano Kanget out on the course.
Tano Kanga, one of a couple of national time trial champions in the Ascona jerseys this year, so when we get to the team time trials, they might be interesting as a team to watch, certainly for Vincenzo Nibali going to the Tour de France, of course. Tano Kanga, the Estonian national time trial champion. We saw Lua Vestra come in earlier on. He's the Dutch national time trial champion. And Ascona have a strong team here. They've come with Vincenzo Nibali as their main hope for the overall. He, of course, is building up to the Tour this year, but they've got Janis Brajkovic, Jakub Fuglsang, Kanga himself, Kesiakov, who can certainly climb, your compatriot from Sweden, and Lua Vestra. They've got any number of options for the overall this week.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't think we should throw away Iglinski and Gribko either, because they're all incredibly strong riders and can all climb in their own right. So they've certainly turned up with a team here to be able to control the race when we go up into the mountains over the next couple of days. So it's certainly a team to watch here.
Kanga into the final 300 metres of his prologue. Remember, 5.57 kilometres here on the streets of Ascona. It's a decent time from Tano Kanga, so Ascona already have bodies up there in the top 10, really. And as soon as I say that, you're just going to miss out on the top 10. That's the commentator's curse for you. But it's a good ride nonetheless by Kanga. 17.25 seconds back.
That just means he's lost 7 seconds over the last kilometre or so, actually. And it just goes to show how strong this wind is actually picking up now.
The port of Ascona. It's a wonderfully beautiful golf course. This city already famous as a tourist resort. One of the biggest tourist centres in Switzerland. Now it has cycling to put it on the map as well. This is a man who's put himself on the map over the last 12 months or so. Matej Mohoric is the youngest rider at this level of the pro peloton at the minute. He's yet to turn 20. He has been the world junior champion, the world under-23 champion, a special rider, a Slovenian rider riding for Cannondale, and a man who's going to learn a heck of a lot in this first real period in stage racing for him.
Yeah, no doubt. You know, it's I mean, it's a different ball game when you get up to the World Tour level and start riding these kind of stage races now. Certainly the ones that are coming up over the next month or couple of months. But you know, very, very strong rider indeed.
Moreno Hofland, a Dutch rider who's had a superb start of the season. Very, very active in the early semi-classics. The Vuelta a Andalucía, he won a stage as well. A young Swiss rider making his debut for Orica Green Edge. Nino Schurter, and listen to that. They really do cheer on their own, like many countries in the world here in Switzerland, despite the fact that it is somewhat a fragmented and quite unique country with all the different languages and cantons and the way it's governed. It's the Italian-speaking area of the country, not far from the Italian border. In fact, you've been having a bike ride over the Italian side this morning.
Went across to Italy this morning, yeah. I think it's less than 10 kilometres down the road.
Nino Schurter then. First real chance for us to have a good luck at the young Orica Green Edge rider. They made some good signings in the winter, including the young Yates brothers as well, and with some potential bad news to bring you on young Simon Yates today. And the rumour is that he has actually fractured a collarbone over in the Tour of Turkey today. So we hope he's okay, and that could be a real setback at that stage in his career. But he's most probably done it before. It is the cyclist's injury, of course.
It is, you know, and we kind of say that you're not really a cyclist until you've broken your collarbone at least once. And fortunately, it's one of those injuries that heals relatively quickly as well. I mean, I've done, I think it's 3 myself, and if you get looked after and end up having surgery on it, then that's a bit of a
just overcooked the bend there.
Yeah, I was just watching there whether he was actually going to be able to hold that or whether he was going to surf the curb a bit, but had to unclip his foot, be ready just in case. But yeah, like I said, it'll be collarbones. If you get surgery on it, you're back on the bike again within a couple of days and starting to do turbo work, so you don't actually lose that much form from or you don't lose your legs from having a collarbone break anymore.
Here's that moment again, Maggie. There's that unclipping, clips back in. Avoided a bit of a nasty one there.
Yeah, he didn't actually lose that much time on that one though, because you know, he didn't panic, he didn't grab the brakes, which would have definitely meant that he would have gone up onto the curb, or potentially gone over the curb, but it just got unclipped a little bit and held his line. So pretty good sort of technical riding there.
Olivier Zaug, winner of Il Giro di Lombardia a few years ago. Big win, the biggest of his career, remember? Really was a wonderful day to be there at the finish line in Lecco. Back with the Swiss Schurter. You can hear the gear changes and you can see the little lines in the suit. There's been so many developments and technological developments. I know that you're a big techie, you're big on your time trials. What sort of things can we look for perhaps in the difference between riding a prologue and riding a larger time trial that we'll see at the end of this race?
Well, there isn't really an awful lot of difference in terms of, certainly not in terms of equipment. You know, the only thing would be some riders potentially would go with a little bit lower profile front wheel just because it makes it easier to turn the bike through these sort of the technical parts of the course. But if you're really sort of well practiced on your time trial bike, then you can corner quite easily on a deep wheel or on a tri-spoke wheel, which some teams are finding the wheel of choice. Apart from that, everything is pretty much the same. The technical bit is to get into the prologue and not start turning too big a gear and sort of start wrestling the bike straight away. You need to be on a very high cadence, and with that, it tends to lean towards the riders that do a little bit of track work, you know, ex-track riders and so on, to do well on these courses.
Back with Olivier Zag, another Swiss rider, of course. Our host broadcast is trying to get as many Swiss riders in before we get to the big boys at the end. The last man out on the course will be the man with number 1 on his back today. That's Christopher Froome of Team Sky. Sky looking for some good news after a pretty nasty few weeks. Struggling to finish races, a lot of their riders at the minute. They've had injuries, problems, all starting really with Ian Stannard's nasty crash and that fractured vertebra a month ago now.
It's unfortunate how that goes. You know, it's sort of swings and roundabouts, and they have had, ever since the team started, a fantastic run with everything that they've done really. And we've got to come to expect that they've got to be on the front, they've got to be riding all the time and control pretty much every race that they enter. And unfortunately now they just seem to have picked up that stint of bad luck where an awful lot of riders are crashing through no fault of their own really. It's just, you know, one of those things that happen.
I know you were talking to Geraint Thomas the other day, weren't you, at the weekend? You rode some cobbles with him over in France and he said that he just cannot get the luck at the minute.
No, exactly, and you know, he's been crashing in pretty much every single classic race that he's done, and through no fault of his own, as his rider's gone down in front of him or actually swung straight across him.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to beIN Sports coverage of the 2014 Tour de Romandie. So we send it out to Ascona for more from the first stage prologue.
The French-speaking region of Switzerland, Ticino known as Tessin. French stage 1 though heads proper back through Italy itself to Romandie. Tom de Gent, Belgian rider, riding for Omega Pharma Quick-Step. Good signing for them, of course, left Vincent Soleil when it collapsed at the end of last year. And they're another team who have an excellent squad out this week. We've seen their man leads it at the moment, Mikhail Kwiatkowski. He's one of the bets for the overall. We've seen Rigoberto Urán as well, who left Sky in the winter to go to Omega Pharma Quick-Step and have his chance at leading their Grand Tour charges. And a team that has been a classics team, become a sprint team, and they're now slowly having a look at the overall in the bigger race as well, with the signings of the likes of Urán.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting you know, move for them to start looking at the overall and the general classification. You know, this is certainly the bigger stage races, and although it'd be interesting as well, I find now, because they've had such a great classic season. They've ridden incredibly strong the whole year. Apart from maybe you had Newsblood right in the early part of the classic season where they really disappeared off the face of the earth in that race, and then probably had a proper talking to overnight, came out in Brussels Kern and basically just put all of their riders in a breakaway.
They rode all the team across the line.
Yeah.
Almost. It was impressive.
It was impressive, and since then they've been kind of racing like that. It'd be interesting to see now whether they can bring that kind of demeanor into the stage racing season, whether they can start picking, you know, just racing as aggressively as they have been doing, and holding all the team together.
Oliver Zau coming in a long way down. 41.73 seconds. He's a workhorse. Matthias Frank up there in the Tour de Suisse last year, wearing the yellow jersey until the final stage. He's had a transfer to a Swiss team now, the only Swiss registered team I am cycling at the moment, and he has finally the chance to lead a team on his own. And he's an interesting man to watch because he's already won a mountain stage this year. That's in the Critérium International. He's looking good, he feels good, but of course prologues and time trialling isn't his thing, as we saw in the Tour de Suisse last year.
Yeah, we did see that in the Tour de Suisse, although that was a very particular type of time trial with the final was 10k almost uphill, and it changed you know, the whole race an awful lot. I think he's just looking at getting a decent start here, not losing too much time, and then having a proper go over the next couple of days.
Well, prologues are funny things. They have their fans, they have their detractors. I know that some people don't like them. They think it's a bit of a nothing day. Of course, we're riding no more than 5.5 kilometers here. It's basically to get someone in the jersey, to get the sponsors to show themselves off and give things a bit of an order before we go to the first road stage. Now, personally, are you a fan of them, and did you enjoy riding them?
I love them. I absolutely love them. I think it's...
I must explain to everybody at home, they really do suit your characteristics as a big guy, so no wonder you enjoy them.
No, they do suit me, but at the same time, I quite like having that order when you go into the first, or hierarchy almost in the peloton when you go into the first road stage, and just makes life a little bit simpler in terms of there's less stress. Everyone knows who's going to start controlling the race from the kilometer zero, and with that, you know, it settles the race down a little bit. Although prologue days, you know, like you said, it's 5.5 kilometers of effort. The prologue day starts very early in the morning. You end up having early breakfast, you go out for a couple of hours on your bike, you go and have a look at the course if that's possible at that time. You go back to the hotel, get changed, showered, have a little bit of lunch, and then back out on your bike again. At that point, they probably have shut down the road, the course, and you go out and do a couple of fast laps on the course itself. And then you basically get back into the bus, fill up, top up with a little bit more of something to eat, probably at this point more race food rather than sort of proper normal food. And then you get onto the turbo trainer and start warming up by the bus, probably about, for me, about as early as an hour and 20 minutes before my start. And then you get to the point where you do your race, finish, jump on the turbo trainer again for another half hour. So by the time you've done all this, you're looking at a 4-hour day of riding. So it's certainly, yes, in terms of racing effort, very, very short, but the preparation, if you want to do well, is quite big.
A long day's work then, even for 5.5 kilometers riding. It's a stage that helped launch careers in the past, this Tour de Romandie Prologue. It's been a big one in world cycling. Most recently, Richie Porte.
Yeah.
Think back a couple of years ago, he was wearing Saxo Bank colours. He'd just come in to professional cycling for the world of triathlon. I think Richie Porte arrived.
Yeah.
Tasmanian, of course, from the island on the south of Australia as the continent. Catapulted himself into the mainstream of professional cycling by picking up a good result here. Wore the famous pink jersey at the Giro d'Italia as well. Now, this is a performance, a real turn up from the books. Somebody who's not known for his time trialling. Jesus Herrada is the Spanish road champion. He looks absolutely tired out there. He's given it a great effort. And we've heard a whisper or two that Movistar have really been working on the time trialling this winter. They've spent time in a wind tunnel in the United Kingdom, of course led by Alex Dowsett, who is a fantastic time trialist himself, the British rider on the Spanish team, and there's more evidence of it there.
Definitely more evidence, and it just goes to show that you need to spend the time on the bike. You need to do all the setup, you know, requirements through the wind tunnels and working on the on the bike as well. So it's good to see when teams like this finally decide that, okay, we're going to have a go at this. We need to now, otherwise we're not going to perform with the best of the other riders. So. Good ride from Thomas again, coming towards the line as well.
Again, just not going to match the time set by his teammate Mikhail Kwiatkowski. Already seeing the top time trialing teams getting 1 or 2 or 3 men in the top 15 to 20. Van der Gent in there. Kwiatkowski leads, of course. And a mega farmer quick step with bodies to come. Moreno Moser, we haven't seen too much of him in terms of podium action ever since Strade Bianche a year ago when he won ahead of Peter Sagan. Promising rider, Probably more of a one-day rider and a stage winner than anything else. But he's a rider who's riding very close to home, just over the border. He's from the northern Italian Dolomites.
Not exactly known for his time trialing capabilities either, but you know, it's been I think he came onto the scene in a big way and started performing incredibly well, and
of course because of his family name, let's say.
Yeah, that's got to be a bit of a cloud hanging over you all the time, and a difficult one to deal with at points. And you know, he rode incredibly well in the start of his career with Cannondale, and has just kind of struggled to find his legs and find his ways a little bit. And I think he kind of ended up in that position with he was put in a lot of the same races as Peter Sagan, and you know, Sagan is always gonna pull the rights, you know, the rights to be the road captain and I think Moselle kind of needs that as well. So they kind of need to separate those two guys, and apparently from what I've heard, they don't go very well together either.
No, they're not very good friends. I mean, that Strade Bianche performance was quite a unique one, apparently, and I think they made a bit too much of it publicly, pretending they were trying to be friends in front of everybody. It was a great team effort together, but of course the word is they don't particularly enjoy each other's company. But I mean, I think they'll get the chance to ride separately next year anyway, because it's not good noises from Cannondale we're hearing in terms of the team continuing.
Unfortunately, there's not good noises, and it'd be a shame to lose a team like that.
Matthias Frank, decent start for him, certainly by his time trial standards. He'll be trying to lose as least time as possible to Kwiatkowski. We must mention Kwiatkowski as a potential winner of this race. I would say he's amongst the top 2 or 3 favourites. The only thing you have to look at the pole, he's been on form for a long, long time now, and how do you hold it against guys such as Froome, who've not raced that much coming into this? He's got big competition. Let's not forget Tony Martin in his own team as well. If this is going to be decided on the time trials, there are so many names that could win this. The likes of Nibali, Castroviejo's riding here as well today, another man who could get up there, although his climbing ability isn't great. Nicolas Roche is going into the Giro. Albacini, okay, not a great time trialist, but if he gets away and wins a stage or two, you never know. Nibali we've mentioned, Richie Porte. There are so many names. TJ Van Garderen here as well. He went off very early today, by the way, to get himself at the limelight. We'll see him tomorrow on the road stage, but it's not an easy race to win this. So much competition here.
Well, it's far from it, and like you said, we got the Giro coming up, and there's a few guys here that's certainly got Giro form, and you know, sort of just about getting ready, just the final little bit of racing to get you super sharp for the Giro. And with that, I think it's going to be a hard-fought race indeed. And but like you said, Kwiatkowski definitely a man to look out for. And although it seems to have been on form for a long time, I think that he would have peaked for the last week or so now for the second part of the Spring Classics with Amstel, Liège, Flèche, and with that, I think he's coming here now with still very good legs, and I don't think he's going to sort of back off and just fall off a cliff in terms of his form over this week here now. The only thing that might be is whether he's starting to get mentally a little bit tired, and with that, you know, struggle to sort of go as deep as he needs to be winning. But if he's up there, then you know, certainly a yellow jersey today would definitely improve your mental state.
Stef Clement, Dutch rider, riding for the Dutch team Belkin. Manu's sort of worked hard over the last few years, and by the nature of working for other people when others have been injured, he's been given the odd chance to ride for himself on the GC. Interesting to see that here and how it goes for Belkin this week. They haven't broke their A-team to this. They've got the likes of Tendam, Bobridge, Clement, who can do the odd thing. Hoffland, who can get over a couple of hills as well. He might be interesting in a couple of the hillier stage if he can hang on and do the sprinting. Lars Petter Nordhaug as well. It's a team that's just going out generally to try and win a few stages, I think.
Yeah, I think they are here looking at just picking up whatever they can pick up, really, and just racing hard. And you know, there's nothing wrong with that either. Certain races you need to kind of just go there, race your bike, and see what you come away with. There's so much pressure and stress on the whole season otherwise that you know, you'll struggle
Moreno Moser going past those protected areas. Almost looks like a rugby match in the corner there.
Well, if you're going into one of those, it certainly would feel like you've been in one.
On the bike path, as Magnus mentioned right at the start, this takes us all around the beautiful little town of Ascona. If you're ever in the region, it is worth a look. We got up this morning and had a walk around the lake, and Switzerland is beautiful even when it's cloudy and grey, I can tell you.
It certainly is, isn't it?
Lovely part of the world. Well, Moser giving it his all. Aim is to get the yellow jersey for each and every one of the riders out there in the day. Remember, the yellow is the leader's jersey here at the Tour de Romandie. They've got a pink jersey for the winner of the mountains classification, not to be confused with the upcoming pink jersey battle at the Giro d'Italia for the overall, of course. Sprinter's jersey here is green. Best young rider with a white jersey. And they have a combativity prize awarded every day as well, chosen by a jury of 6 after each stage. I remember last year I had our second British win. 2 in 2 years. The Italians, though, the nation that have won Romandie on more occasions than any other nation. 13 victories down the years. 68th edition this year, and last winner Dario Frigo in 2001. He did 2001, 2002, back-to-back. But no win for the home team, the home lot, the home nation, the Swiss, since Laurent Defoe in 1998.
It's about time they had one then, isn't it?
It certainly is. Well, Matthias Frank will be under pressure here. We already saw him for I Am Cycling. They've brought a strong team. They've got the likes of Johan Schopp as well. In fact, it's an all-Swiss team apart from Matthias Brandle. Rafa Majka, Polish rider. This boy can climb.
He certainly can climb.
One to watch this week, and they've been, in terms of stage racing, the team of the year so far, haven't they, really?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, they're racing incredibly strong, and you know, with Contador back on form as well, and really racing hard. You know, there's certainly going to be a team that we'll see an awful lot of over the next couple of months now.
Tigol Saxo with Bruno Cegnalta in the car, an old acquaintance of yours, Magnus, and be interesting to know how they're approaching this race, because Alberto Contador, upon me, hasn't come here. He's chosen to take a bit of a rest in his season now. He didn't go to the Ardennes as well. I think he probably doesn't want to overcook it or jinx anything going into the Tour, because he's been going so well. Basque Country cleaned up there. This is how it's going at the moment. Mikhail Kwiatkowski ahead of Giacomo Nizzolo. Brett Lancaster in third. Brenly Navadauskas, who won a stage here last year. Kaiser, Danny van Poppel, Juve Vestra, Cameron Meyer and Jesus Herrada, the top 10. BMC with Laurie Wabas for the United States. BMC do have roots in Switzerland. They've got Swiss owners, despite the fact that they're an American registered team. Swiss sponsors as well. Andy Rees, who owns BMC. In fact, we had a stage finish outside his brand new velodrome last year, the one that was won by Romulis Navadauskas. They come with real ambitions with TJ van Garderen. Back with Steph Clement. Very narrow bike path that goes by this golf course that we mentioned that is world famous. Obviously one of the best in the area. And over to the port as well.
Yeah, this section is quite difficult, because I think if you get it right and you're quite confident on your time trial bike, then you can actually take all of these corners down in the tri bars. It's only the back end here now as you come out onto the normal road where you got a couple of tighter corners, and then it's just a question of being able to, at this point, you know, with about a kilometre to go, 1,200 metres to go, launch back up to pace again as quickly as possible. And now you've obviously got the headwind as well.
Now he might look like he's got a lampshade on his head here, Rohan Dennis. But the Australian is riding very well indeed. Garmin Sharp investing in new time trial equipment thanks to their sponsors. It looks very futuristic. It almost looks he's got a pair of those brand new computerized glasses on there. He'll have seen the time coming across the line. Second is a very good start for another man we must watch this week.
Certainly a very strong ride. He's put himself in contention with that one.
Well, certainly in charge as far as the white jersey is concerned as well. Best young rider is a real aim for Rohan Dennis, who another man who looked really, really good last season, certainly in American races where he did a lot of racing on the American calendar. Garmin Sharp having big roots in Colorado, of course, as an American team.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have more from the Tour de Romandie after this quick break. The UCI World Tour here on beIN Sports. Welcome back, everyone, to beIN Sports coverage of the 68th Tour de Romandie. The prologue continues through the streets of Ascona. Let's send it out to Ascona for the rest of the prologue.
Richie Porte, former winner of the stage, back for Team Sky, was supposed to be the leader at the Giro d'Italia. That's all changed. He's off to support Chris Froome in another bid to take the Tour de France. Here he is in the Tour de Romandie. And Porte, not just a man to watch today, but depending on how the race develops for Sky, a man to watch all week.
Yeah, and depending also on how Chris Froome is in with his slight bit of bronchitis there, he could certainly be put as the team leader for this race just by default.
Well, Porte did ride in Liège-Bastogne-Liège at the weekend. He didn't finish. In fact, there was only one Sky rider to finish that race, Nathan Earl, making his debut, which doesn't look great. Again, the team only fielded 6 riders for that as well. Strange in the oldest classic of them all.
Yeah, it is a little bit strange, and I just hope that their fortune starts to turn now, because it's not been great for them over the last couple of months here now, and I think that they're sort of under pressure a little bit themselves, to be honest.
Rafa Micah 20 seconds down. Jonathan Fumo of I Am Cycling. Again, I Am, apart from Matthias Brand, the Austrian rider, with a complement of entirely Swiss riders. Swiss DSs as well. Marcello Albasini and Rubens Bertogliati, both from this part of the world, both from Ticino. They are the director sportive in the car. This race has been running all the way since 1947. There's an idea thought up originally to try and mark the 50th anniversary of the foundation of the Swiss Cycling Union. Richie Porte has already marked his name into the history of the race, and here he is trying to tackle this prologue the best he can. And he's another man who's suffered with illness this year, Tirreno Adriatico being a real case in point. Yeah, definitely, and also a lot of the riders who did the Milan-San Remo have been struggling as well with health this year. Mark Cavendish was out for weeks on end, and luckily for him now he's back on and seems to be back on form as well down in Turkey. But yeah, it's certainly been a tough one for Richie. Richie Porte, Tasmanian rider, started off his road career, as we said, at Saxo Bank under the orders of Bjarne Riise. Been at Sky for a while. Rumours over the winter that Orica Greenedge were courting his services. Well, riders like Richie Porte are always going to be sought after. You know, he's certainly a man who could lead a team, and he's certainly a strong team player as well in terms of looking after any potential GC riders that you might already have. So, you know, he definitely if anyone knows that he's up for a contract renewal, they will certainly try and inquire his services. Richie Porte out there at the minute. We'll be back to the start podium in just a moment, because Vincenzo Nibali is about to take the start as well. In the meantime, with Jonathan Fumo, I Am Cycling, one of the top looking kits in the peloton, I have to say. Really, really classy, and they're a team that could go far, I think. They've been invited to the Tour de France this year. They've got the Vuelta España invitation as well, and apparently a lot of big Swiss banking bucks behind them as well. Yeah, it certainly looks to be a financially very secure and very strong team, and it's great to see, because obviously there are still teams out there struggling, and there's talks of a couple of teams maybe folding at the end of this year already. Now there's talks of that, and I certainly hope that they can all find new sponsors and continue, because we don't want to see it. Vincenzo Nibali. on the way to the Tour de France, won't defend his Giro d'Italia title. No win yet this season.
No, but still, I think it's a good move from Nibali to focus on the Tour. You know, he's won the Giro now,
and the Vuelta, let's not forget.
And the Vuelta already as well. So, you know, going for the Tour de France, I think is a good move. And you know, if he focuses only on that, I reckon he's going to be very, very dangerous indeed, because he's a man who loves attacking, and I do enjoy watching Nibali race his bike. It doesn't matter where it is, whether he's on 100% form or not. He always gives it a good go and goes for, you know, for an attack at least.
One to watch, Ion Izagirre, rider for Movistar, has done lots of time trial training. 3rd in the Andalusia Prologue, 10th in this at the moment, 7th in the País Vasco time trial the other week. He's a man who's improved exponentially on his time trial bike, and he's a man to watch throughout this week as well.
Certainly is, but you know, a lot of it comes down to equipment as well. They've had a change of equipment over the winter, different bikes,
different clothing supplies
as well. And sometimes that just makes the difference. You know, you end up on a time trial bike which feels different, and you all of a sudden you sit nicely on it, get a bit of time in the wind tunnel, and you know, you improve so much by just doing that. So yeah, but you know, it's good to see that Movistar, who's been kind of known over the last number of years now to be one of the teams that didn't really take the time trialing that seriously, but now they're certainly a force to be reckoned with.
It's been a big year, stroke 18 months for Vincenzo Nibali. Giro d'Italia win last year, he got married as well. Became a father very recently too. Richie Porte in his time trial position. He's one of the best on the road out there today in this discipline.
Yeah, definitely one of the best ones, and you know, I'd say him and Chris Froome are certainly another one. Obviously we've got Tony Martin here as well, but Richie should be able to turn something out here. Might be a little bit short for him though.
Oh, perfect race to measure your form. Remember, the last 3 seasons has given us the Tour de France winner here, even though there is quite a long way until the start line in Yorkshire still. Back with Jonathan Fumo, one of the younger riders in the IM setup. Heading towards that final little section, back towards the lake and onto the bike path. Ooh, we're getting news that Richie Porte might well be more than a little bit of short of form.
Yeah, just maybe a little bit sort of off pace in terms of racing. It was 18 seconds down at the second time check.
Here he is coming into the final 50 metres. Richie Porte is going to be well down. 22.2 seconds, and again, it's an average time considering a lot of the other riders, but considering it's Richie Porte, we have to say for him that is well down.
Yeah, that is a little bit too far down for him, but again, we gotta say it is a prologue. It's a completely different way of riding a time trial bike to one of the longer time trials, and although Richie's done well in the past in that, if you're not super race sharp, then it can be difficult.
Rui Costa, Portuguese time trial champion, the world road race champion. He was 3rd overall at this race last year. He's won the last 2 Tour de Suisse. He's got plenty of fans here, lots of Swiss immigrants Portuguese immigrants all over Switzerland. We see the flags at every race. He's a man to watch as well.
Certainly is. I mean, I think he's done a good first couple of months of the year in his World Champions jersey.
But he's still not got that. It's almost becoming a bit cliche. We start to talk about it.
Yeah.
But he still doesn't have that win yet.
No, he hasn't got that win yet. But then again, if you look past, he's not one of these riders that win, you know, 15, 20 bike races in the season. So I wouldn't really expect that either. So no doubt he will come good at some point and pick a win up. But you know, I don't think there's any point in putting pressure on it yet.
Ion Izagirre inside the top 10. Kwiatkowski still leads so far. Marcel Kittel, top sprinter in the world at the moment. Watch out for him on this prologue. He loves winning. He loves riding his bike. He is becoming a big star. And of course, alongside the likes of Tony Martin, perhaps the man to bring cycling popularity back to Germany.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so, and I think he will be very dangerous on today's one. You know, if he's able to launch out of the corners and pick the speed back up again to his what should we call it, cruising speed, then he will do that faster than anyone, that's for sure. And yeah, looking forward to see what he can do.
It's Andrew Talansky for Garmin. Rider who can be good for the overall. Back with Rui Costa. Great that he won that world title just outside the Fiorentina football stadium last year, where his namesake and Portuguese famous footballer used to play. Here Vincenzo Nibali. It's been a good ride from him. Solid start of the week for a man who isn't the greatest time trialist at the GC contenders. He's an attacking rider. He's lost just 11.9 seconds. And I think he'll be fairly happy with that.
Yeah, solid day at work. You know, it's we're not expecting anybody to win this one, but he's certainly in contention for it, and that's all he's got to need, really.
In big few months. I wonder how much he slept back at home with his wife Raquel, because they had that recent young arrival. Said that the first few weeks he didn't get much shut-eye.
No, it's kind of funny when bike riders do you know, have kids, and they come away and always end up the first 2 nights they you know, get to bed at about 8 o'clock and sleep for about 14 hours and race their bikes, and that's it until they kind of come back into it and catch up on a bit of sleep.
Andrew Talansky again. 101 on his back for Garmin Shop. Suggests that he is the man to lead the team, but we've seen an excellent performance already from Rohan Dennis. Lachlan Morton's here as well for Australia. Another good young rider and another man who could be interesting for the overall. They're led by Robbie Hunter, beginning his Directeur Sportif career in the car.
Yeah.
Retired from racing last year, the South African. Big name for the Swiss, a very big name for the Ticinesi, the people who come from this Italian-speaking area of Switzerland. It's Michael Albazini. In fact, he has family ties in the I Am cycling car. Marcello is Directeur Sportif.
Yeah, and Albazini is one of the most exciting riders to watch as far as I'm concerned. He's just such a fighter all the time.
Alexandre Geniez with a very exciting performance for Française des Jeux. They've come here with a few big injuries and crashes in the last few weeks in the Ardennes campaign. 9th at the moment for Geniez, brings a smile to the French team's face.
Yeah, good ride, very good ride.
They come here with aspirations of placing Thibaut Pinot in the top 10. Rui Costa. Change of teams for him from Movistar to the Italian team Lampre Merida. Said to be getting okay with the language. Speaks Portuguese and Spanish. Still working on his Italian, apparently.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too difficult for him to pick Italian up then with those two languages as a base.
Roberto Ferrari to try and sprint away here for Lampre, warming up for the Giro. Rafa Valls is an interesting climber for them as well. He was going well in Liège at the weekend. Josean Machin Fernandez is the man in charge of the team for them. Orica Greenedge, who tasted success on Sunday in Liège with Simon Gerrans. Second monument win for him. What a result after Milan-San Remo a few years ago.
And finally as well, because he deserves another big one, and he's been trying for so long with Liège as well, and yeah, just one of those riders who deserves a good win.
Sharp and Dan Martin, who had that very strange crash, slipped on a bit of Sleepy Road apparently. There was a slight bit of oil with around 300 meters to go on that corner, went down just when he was attacking. Rui Costa on a good ride as well. He starts this Tour de Romandie brilliantly, open mouth, real effort face on. Rui Costa, who loves racing in Switzerland, and he'll cross just 15 seconds behind the leader Mikhail Kwiatkowski.
Yeah, another solid performance by Rui Costa. Not you know, a top performance in terms of the prologue, but if we're looking for the overall this week, then you know, he's still in contention.
There's another man who's been unlucky with crashes. You can see that right elbow of his still bandaged up. He's been down on the ground in the last couple of weekends of classics racing. He had a very nasty crash at the end of Paris-Nice. Race that he had a couple of second places in as well. Marcel Kittel. Now this is a time to watch out for. We said watch out for Kittel before today. It's going to be a real notch to the line. He's just going to miss out on the win on the day. But what a ride for the big German sprinter. Third at the moment. Kwiatkowski still leads, but only 4 seconds down, and hat off to Kittel.
Yeah, I mean, that is a very solid ride, and certainly with the conditions having changed ever so slightly since Kwiatkowski did his time, good performance by Marcel Kittel.
Now we're 5 minutes away from the last rider out. That'll be Chris Froome. Tony Martin still to come. Jonathan Castroviejo, Spilak, but what about this man? Ireland's Nicholas Roach, going for the Giro d'Italia this year after his excellent performance at the Vuelta. And it's going to be really good, certainly for Irish fans, ahead of that Irish Giro big start next week, to see where their boy's at.
Well, definitely, and also see where he's at with his time trialing, because that's been a relatively weak point for Nicholas Roach over the years, and no doubt moving across to Tinkoff Saxo, you know, he will have put into to sort of a lot of training on his time trial bike. I know they on certain days on the training camps just go out and do 5-6 hours all on the time trial bikes together, just to ride them and get your muscles used to it.
Tinkoff Saxo, who began their preparation for the year down in Gran Canaria in the Canary Islands. Links with a couple of hotels down there as the sponsors. Talansky's put in a decent ride too. 200 meters to go for the Garmin man. There's Kwiatkowski's time in the #1 slot there, 6 minutes 22.80.
Ladies and gentlemen, the prologue from the 68th Tour de Romandie continues here on beIN Sports. Coming up, we will have the reigning champion, Chris Froome from Team Sky, and we will have his prologue effort coming up next here on beIN Sports, the 68th Tour de Romandie. Welcome back, everyone, to beIN Sports coverage of the 68th Tour de Romandie, the best of cycling here on the network. The prologue, the first stage of this event, continues from Ascona as we are close to crowning the first yellow jersey of this race. So far, it has been Mikhail Kwiatkowski in the lead. We'll have more from Ascona coming up now.
Last year's winner, Christopher Froome. Third stage race appearance of the season for him. Won the last time in Oman. Decent performance at the Volta a Catalunya without really outshining anybody. He's had his illness, he's had several injuries. Here he is back on the bike. British and African fans will be hoping that he finds his form here this week. He's already said, though, taken the pressure off himself and said, look, Romandie is not my objective this year. I want to see where I'm at, but I'm all gearing up for July, and that's the right way to look at it for him.
It is the right way and the only way to look at it. It's too early to start really out in super form. You know, that he's just basically got to come back now. He's come back from training camp, see where his legs are at, see how he's going, go back, train a little bit more, another couple of stage races later on in the year, and then, you know, get in for the Tour de France.
Simon Spilak. The man who was up there with Froome on the stage to Les Diablerets last year, pardon me. Stage that was marred by the weather. Tony Martin had an early go on that stage. Didn't happen for him then. Oh, we've already got some climbing tomorrow. That is if the weather permits.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on the weather, because we're supposed to be going over the Passo Sempione, or the Simplon Pass. back into the French-speaking area of Switzerland. Alternative routes have already been studied just in case that pass is unpassable.
Yeah, that's a bit of a problem for this time of the year. You know, the weather does what it wants to, and there's still quite a bit of snow up on the mountains here in Switzerland. So, yeah, I hope we get some good weather so that the boys can go and race properly.
Out of your picture, disappointing 57th place for Peter Velitz. BMC was a very good time trialist.
Yeah, and I think Nicholas Roach has just come in as well not long ago and was about 20 seconds down.
Of course, Nicholas Roach looking to be on top form for the Giro d'Italia. 10 days away.
What can this man do today? Is it a little bit too technical for him?
Certainly be a big contender again come next Sunday, as will Chris Froome. Seen some big rides from Kwiatkowski. Set the early time after Ramūnas Navadauskas had set the best time. I think he was only the second man out today. In fact, he was 9th on the road, Navadauskas, but he set a very good time early on. Kwiatkowski only beat it by around 6 seconds. Nobody able to get near him just yet. Kittel in 3rd place. Here's Chris Froome. He'll be glad it's not sunny today, because remember he went training out in these brand new skin suits that Sky have got and suffered awful sunburn very in the early part of the spring. 3Ks to go for him. Guillaume Bonafont, the last man over the line. Tony Martin heading into the important part now. We'll see Spilak, Castroviejo, Martin and Froome over the line. The 4 men left out on the course. Froome halfway along is 6 seconds behind the leader, we're being told. In the meantime, this is Simon Spilak, and again another solid time from him without really having too much to write home about. 13 seconds behind and sets him up for the week. Yeah,
another good start to the week, and you know, like I said, nothing special, but he doesn't need to. Castroviejo went through the 4.57 kilometers, 10 seconds down.
He'll be the next over the minute, and where he is on the course, he isn't going to win this stage. .400 meters to go, only 7 seconds to play with. Solid enough from Castroviejo, again without really troubling the scores, as they say. Kwiatkowski and his position safe for the moment. Await Chris Froome and Tony Martin. Castroviejo 14.53 seconds back, 27th.
Tony Martin's just gone through that last intermediate time, and he's 4 seconds down on Dennis.
Brian Dennis, who was quickest at that point. Kwiatkowski coming through 1 second behind, but later on the finish line quicker than Brian Dennis. Here we are, 500 meters to go for Tony Martin. Be nice to get a time up on the screen. It's going to be a big ride into the headwind here. 10 seconds to play with as he's 300 meters out, 200 meters to go. The clock ticks. I don't think he's going to do it, Tony Martin. He isn't, but nevertheless, it is a very good ride from the world time trial champion. Mikhail Kwiatkowski only has Chris Froome as a man to get near him. But again, given Froome's time at the halfway point, unless he's recovered miraculously in the second part, it will be Kwiatkowski who will take the win. Froome 8 seconds behind still at a point of 2 kilometers to go. So Froome well into the last kilometre now. Once again, in terms of overall ambition, looks solid enough for Chris Froome today from what we've seen. 500 metres to go. At the moment, probably a little slower than Tony Martin.
Yeah, probably a couple of seconds slower than Tony Martin, but again, Chris doesn't need to be right up there. He doesn't need to win this today. He just wants a good performance, put him in there in contention for the overall, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Job well done from Chris Froome, Tony Martin and most of the big favourites. Mikhail Kwiatkowski will win this stage. Last year's Romandie winner Froome in 13th place on the day. He loses 9.31 seconds, but after the trials and tribulations and the not feeling so good of the last week or so, he will be no doubt pretty happy with that. So first yellow jersey goes to Mikhail Kwiatkowski. Rohan Dennis and Marcel Kittel, second and third respectively. So big news on the day. Kwiatkowski showing that his form has held. Chris Froome showing that he's there or thereabouts. And Rohan Dennis putting himself up as a real candidate for this race. It's 4 seconds off Kwiatkowski in second place. Chris Froome over the line, defending his Tour de Romandie title. Nice to see him on the road again. And good to see him riding fairly strongly. The real test is over the next 5 days. Shakes his head. Looks a little disappointed, but of course, when you're in that position and you're really aiming for those big aims as the season goes by, you're going to be asking a lot of yourself. Mikhail Kwiatkowski wins the prologue in the 68th Tour de Romandie. Rohan Dennis in second place, Marcel Kittel with Nizzolo, Martin, Lancaster, Brendley, Sargent, Navadauskas and Martijn Keizer making up the top 10. Marcel Kittel then in third. Good ride from him, Maggie.
Yeah, I think that was the ride of the day, really, for me. I mean, I kind of expected Kwiatkowski to be right up there. Maybe not quite as quick as he was, but certainly I think Kittel was very, very good.
Second place, Rohan Dennis with that futuristic space station on his head. Wonderful ride, really, really well done from the Aussie. And a rider good to continue his recent progression. Mikhail Kwiatkowski, though, talking of progressions, has been one of the stars of the pro cycling world this season. Last year rode exceptionally well. This year he's shown that he can really ride with the best.
Yeah, and you know, he continues to grow and take on board responsibility within the team, and you know, he's certainly
Look to the Brissago Islands. Ferry's out there, by the way, from the quay here on Lake Maggiore, also known as Lago di Verbano. It's Italy just around the corner. We are in Switzerland, we're in Ticino, and we have a new man wearing yellow. First man wearing yellow this race this year, Mikhail Kwiatkowski. So good in the Algarve, and it was in the time trials there early in the season that he really put himself into good shape.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be difficult to get Kwiatkowski out of that yellow jersey, because the man climbs incredibly well. He's also relatively quick in a sprint.
And he has a good team around him.
And he's got a strong team around him as well, you know, and I think he's certainly looking very, very solid for the overall here.
The overall looks like this. Mikhail Kwiatkowski 4 seconds ahead of Rohan Dennis. Marcel Kittel 4 behind as well, with Giacomo Nizzolo at the same time. Martin, another good option for Mega Pharma Quickstep. They have 2 men inside the top 5.
Yeah, we also shouldn't forget that they got Rigoberto Urán there for the mountains as well. So, you know, they got options to play in every single bit of road, basically.
Well, the jerseys will all be presented. It's a busy day of press for whoever leads this for the first day. Winner's got to get up on the podium. Please, all the sponsors, put every colour of jersey on. It's going to be this man who's got a job to do, but he'll be used to that, having had wins already this season. Having ridden very, very well. He was on the podium twice, remember, last week in the Ardennes. Mega Pharma Quickstep rider in one of the top time trial teams as well. He'll have help with that discipline. And there's his first yellow jersey on the Tour de Romandie. And that's what it looks like. Looking back to Ascona and just in the distance Locarno as well. Italian-speaking Switzerland, Ticino, hosting the opening stage of the Tour de Romandie. Well, the podium's set up, celebrations about to take place, but 5 days of hard riding ahead for Michał Kwiatkowski. And the great thing about this race and the fact that the prologue is as it is this year, the differences are minimal. We're going to have time bonuses on the lines, time bonuses up for grabs as well. During the stages, it's going to be a big, big race. And it should be very animated, exactly what the organisers wanted. They wanted a race that this year had something to play for on the last day.
Yeah, I think having the time bonuses available as well makes the race more interesting, and you know, I quite enjoy that the aggressive racing, and I think that's what we got to look forward to be honest. And you know, the final day is going to be the decider as far as I can see.
Victory number 25 of the 14 season for Omega Pharma Quick Step. Not even May yet. It has been a great, great year for them. No more victories. Now, well, good news is we're going to be able to hear from the winner. Here's Michał Kwiatkowski.
Michał Kwiatkowski, congratulations. It was a great surprise for you to win today here in this prologue in Ascona.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it's a big surprise. I was in good form in Atlas Classic, but I didn't know how I will feel today. And yeah, I'm really happy what I did, because you know, that was first time I was sitting so much on a hot seat, you know, so long. And yeah, I'm really happy. I think a few seconds advantage on it's something special.
What was the key for you to be today better than Chris Froome or Tony Martin? He was a big favorite.
You know, I think I knew really well the course, and I think I did it perfect every moment of the race. I didn't went you know, too fast on the first part. I was trying to save myself till the end, and I really went. I was on the limit on the finish line, so I think I did perfectly the race, and that was also the good decision that I started as a first, because I knew that the weather forecast gonna change a little bit, and yeah, that's my day.
This is a very good result for you. You were one of the outsiders of this Tour de Romandie. Now you begin to be one of the favorites.
It's hard to say. I will look for the GC of Tour de Romandie from day to day, and you know, I don't know how I recover actually from Ardennes Classics. That's going to be my last race of first part of the first part of the season. And you know, I think Omega Pharma Quick Step, we came here with good riders as Tony Martin or Thomas De Gendt or Rigoberto Urán. So yeah, we're looking forward for the next stages.
Thanks a lot.
Good reactions. A bit harsh to say that he was an outsider before, though. Perhaps just talking on form. And Kwiatkowski said himself, it's all about how he recovers from the Ardennes, and if he's got it in his legs, he'll just look at it day by day.
Yeah, like you said, you know, this is the last race for him of the first part of the season, and you know, I think it's going to come down to how well he does recover and how much he's got left in the tank. But you know, he's got a great backup team and riders who can take over if he should have a bad day.
There are top three in reverse order. Kwiatkowski, top of the pile on day one after the prologue of the 68th Tour de Romandie. Kwiatkowski 4 seconds ahead of Dennis, Kittel in third, but again Nizzolo, Martin, Lancaster, Brendley, Sargent, Navodauskas and Kaiser all looking good, and again Garmin with 2 riders inside the top 10 as well. Tactical flexibility for them going into day 2. So we wait for the podium ceremony. This is a little look around both Locarno and Ascona, 2 towns that are situated practically next to each other. Tomorrow we go from Ascona to Sion. It's the longest stage of the race tomorrow. Of course, weather permitting, that we can go over that Passo Sempione. 200.9 kilometers. Then after that, it's on to Montreux, Aigle for the home of the UCI, Fribourg, and a final time trial around Neuchâtel this year, not finishing in the region's capital, Geneva. So Grand Tour season is fast approaching. Final warm-up for the Giro d'Italia. Today's winner won't be riding the Giro. Michał Kwiatkowski said that he's off for a rest now, and it's good that maybe years ago the temptation might have been just to throw you into another race if you kept winning, but now programs are managed and it's good to see that they're going to give him a period of rest and not make him suffer any burnout.
Yeah, it has changed an awful lot, you know, over the last 2, 3, maybe 4 years, and certainly since I stopped racing, we see a lot more of this, that there are planned breaks, a couple of them every season, and like you said, you don't just get chucked into another race just because you're going well. You're trying to conserve the rider and keep him going well throughout the whole season.
Stage winner for today, Polish road champion. In time trial turns, still a very, very good rider. Michał Kwiatkowski takes his prize, and it won't be the last we'll see of him today. The winner of the Prologue in this 2014 edition of the Tour de Romandie. It's nice to hear from him, very eloquent, of course, in English. Nice and calm about things, and you can tell that he's used to this position. Well, Marcel Kittel won't be on the podium today. Maybe looking to hold on. Possibility of a couple of reduced sprints, but whatever happens this week, it's good to see Kittel getting some climbing in his legs ahead of the Giro d'Italia.
Yeah, it's just a question of working hard and you know, getting the last little bit of race sharpness before he's heading to the Giro.
Yellow jersey, the first of this 2014 Tour de Romandie, goes to Michał Kwiatkowski. Polish rider who's already been on the podium to take his stage win prize, here now as the leader of the race. He said in his interview with us that he'll take it day by day. Still feeling well enough, but how has he recovered from the effort that was the Ardennes? I guess we'll find out over the next couple of road stages. Climbs to come beginning tomorrow. This is a hilly race, this is a hilly region, of course, for anybody that knows their geography even vaguely well. 10,000 metres or around 30,000 feet of climbing this week. Well, talking of mountains, the mountains classification is a pink jersey here at the Tour de Romandie. No climbing today, but of course we've got to please the sponsors. Finally, we'll get the right sponsors' names up on the board behind the podium. A couple of our friends out there oblivious to all this, but this is where the action's happening. It's the pink jersey for the best climber, and Michał Kwiatkowski has got a few prizes to take home. If he continues climbing well, he might well get a whole cheese by the end of the week.
Classifica del miglior giovane, visto che ha soltanto 23 anni, il polacco campione nazionale su strada e che ha dimostrato oggi essere un fantastico specialista della cronometra. Michał Kwiatkowski, nuovo leader della classifica montagna, la Gruyère. Bravo!
So he wears the pink jersey today. I'm guessing tomorrow here with the order of presentation that we'll see Rohan Dennis in pink tomorrow as the wearer of the jersey. Kwiatkowski will be in yellow. Sprinter's prize at the minute, being presented to Michał Kwiatkowski, 23 years of age.
Un bacione tutte e due assieme. Allora, Michał, ne approfitto un po', tutte e due, un bacio in stereo, ecco, per la foto, bravo. Nuovo leader, classifica a punti, Michał Kwiatkowski. Grazie.
Another wave to the crowd.
E per finire, classifica
Don't think you'll ever get fed up with this, though.
Miglior giovane,
always means that you're doing well.
Di meno di 25 anni.
Get the acclaim from the crowd. And they do like the cycling in these parts.
Corridore polacco che ha sempre 23 anni, qualche minuto in più. Michał Kwiatkowski.
And Mikhail Kwiatkowski comes to collect what will be his final prize of the day. It's his classification is a pink jersey here at the Tour de Romandie. No climbing today, but of course we've got to please the sponsors. Finally we get the right sponsors' names up on the board behind the podium. A couple of our friends out there oblivious to all this, but this is where the action's happening. It's the pink jersey for the best climber, and Mikhail Kwiatkowski.
3 minuti 0-0 per la maglia gialla di leader della classifica generale della Vaudoise,
Kwiatkowski retained the yellow jersey. That will be the main storyline for the second stage, the first of the mountain stages here at the Tour de Romandie. It promises to be an exciting race throughout Switzerland, and of course we will have it for you here on beIN Sports. We will have every stage of the 60th Tour de Romandie here on beIN Sports. So Mikhail Kwiatkowski with a very productive day, pretty much winning every jersey available to him after the prologue, and we will see if he can hold on to the yellow jersey. That is the big prize. And also we'll see if he can hold off Christopher Froome of Sky and some of the other main competitors for this 68th Tour de Romandie. Just some information about the stage one, the second stage, if you will. The first one in the mountains is from Ascona to Sion. It's about just over 200 kilometers with a climb of almost 2,000 meters as they get to the Simplon Pass, and that will be a crucial portion of the race. And we'll see if Kwiatkowski can continue on as he picks up the white jersey as well. So every color jersey available to him, he has won. And I'm sure one of the big perks is getting the kisses from the models there. It has been a fantastic prologue from Mikhail Kwiatkowski as he gets the white jersey for the young riders. He leads the young riders. A memorable day for the Polish rider for the team of Omega Pharma Quick-Step. They have been the best team so far in the UCI World Tour. Beautiful scenic view of Ascona in the Italian-speaking section of Switzerland, and it will be the start of the next stage for the 68th Tour de Romandie. You can check beinsports.tv for listings of when our coverage will begin. And as I mentioned before, we will have all 6 stages of this prestigious race here on the network, concluding on May 4th with the Stage 5 time trial, 18.5 kilometers through Neuchâtel in Switzerland. It promises to be an eventful and exciting cycling race, and we will have it for you here on beIN Sports, your home of international sports. Mikhail Kwiatkowski, Polish rider, impressing in the prologue and winning the yellow jersey. We'll see if he can hold on to the yellow jersey for the rest of the tour. The 68th Tour de Romandie, the UCI World Tour, here on beIN Sports. As I mentioned before, check beinsports.tv for more. Thank you for watching this presentation here on beIN Sports.